Nivada Grenchen Super Antarctic watch. As always, let's begin this review by talking about the case dimensions and specs. The watch has a 38mm diameter, it's 45mm from one lug to another, it has a lug opening of 20mm, and it's only 12mm thick. The case and the bracelet are both made out of 316L stainless steel. It has a double-domed sapphire crystal, 100 meters of water resistance. It's powered by the Saprod P024 automatic movement, and it has a price of $950 US. Taking a closer look at the case finishes, it's all executed really well. What I like is that it has, for the most part, all satin finished case design, except for a few chamfered edges and a few highlighted, high polished accents. So for example, the bezel is executed in high polish. That looks really nice, plays with the light really well. I also like how the tips of the lugs are executed with a high polish. Once again, it adds a little bit more visual interest to the watch. And finally, the bottom or the back side of the case has this chamfered edge to soften the edge a little bit and also creates an illusion of a thinner watch. Another element of the watch's design that makes the watch appear smaller is the overall case shape. I appreciate how these lugs turn downwards to make the watch more comfortable on the wrist. We have a crown at the 3 o'clock position. It's a high polished crown with Nivada Grenchen logo. It is also a screw down crown, helping with that 100 meters of water resistance. Now, the only complaint that I might have about this crown, it appears to be a little bit undersized. It's not too bad, but I have these big sausage fingers and sometimes it's a bit hard to use. So if you have big fingers, just keep that in mind. The crown is a bit on the smaller side. The watch features this double domed sapphire crystal with AR coating, very old school feeling. Now, usually in older watches, in vintage watches, this would be an acrylic crystal or a plastic crystal. Not the case here, it is actually sapphire, but it still provides quite a few very interesting viewing angles. The overall design of this watch is very vintage inspired. It kind of looks like a watch from 1970s. I guess that's the whole point behind these re-releases of their iconic models. From the big triangles for 12, 3, 6, and 9, to the font chosen for Super Atlantic. It says 25 rubies on the dial instead of 25 jewels. I also like the super long seconds hand. It reaches all the way out to that open rail track for seconds. Timekeeping, really good stuff. It looks like a vintage watch done with modern materials. The set of hands, some might like it, some might not. At first I wasn't too sure about this hour hand because the minutes hand is your standard sword hand, looks pretty good. At first I kind of wished that the hours hand was also executed as a sword hand, but now I've grown to like this lollipop. It kind of reminds me of the Rolex's Mercedes hour hand. However, here, as you can see, is just an empty circle. It doesn't have any logo or anything inside. At first it looked kind of weird, but now I got used to the look and I kind of like it. Because of these big triangles on the dial and also a lot of surface area on the set of hands, there is quite a bit of lume. Here's a lume shot for your reference. However, I do have a small complaint about this lume. It seems like it's not an even application. As you can see, for example, on the hours hand, there seems to be some blemishes. I don't know if camera can pick that up, but in person, if you look closely enough, you can see a little bit of blemishing. A few more layers of lume would definitely be appreciated. Now let's take a look at this watch on my wrist. I have about a 7.5 inches wrist and I think overall it fits pretty well. Admittedly, it's a bit undersized for my wrist. 38mm case diameter is on the smaller side of what I would usually wear. It also has a pretty short lug to lug distance, only 45mm. So this one is really made for people with medium to smaller size wrists. A lot of guys with smaller wrists complain that not enough watch companies make watches for them. Well, here's one of the examples that is specifically for people with smaller to medium size wrists. One of the big advantages of this watch being on a smaller side and also being so slim, it's a very comfortable watch to wear. I would wear it all day long and not even feel it on my wrist. And it's one of the reasons why I actually really enjoyed wearing it. I wore it to the gym, I wore it going out on a run, and overall it performed really well, partially due to the smaller case, partially due to this comfortable bracelet. So these watches could be bought on this Beats of Rice bracelet. It could also be bought on a rubber strap or on a black or brown leather straps. Take a look at Nivada Grenchen's website. I'll have a link in the description below. See all the different options. Also see some of the other models, because you can have it with a white dial. You could also have it with a cream dial, and there's some other options. And depending on which model you choose, it can be a little bit cheaper or a little bit more expensive. So I think on this Beads of Rice bracelet is the most expensive version. And the bracelet overall is good quality, but I do have some complaints. So first of all, the bracelet itself, it's good. The finishes fit, the overall case finish. Sometimes there is a bit of a mismatch with companies where the bracelet is finished differently than the case, because two different manufacturers designed the bracelet and finished the bracelet versus finishing and designing the case. With this watch specifically, the finishes look pretty even. I also like how comfortable the bracelet is. It is resized by using screws, so that's good to see. Where most of my complaints lie are with this clasp. Now, I know that this was probably a very deliberate choice to have a pressed metal clasp as opposed to having an engineered scissor clasp, and I don't really agree with this decision. To me, it's as if you buy a modern car from 2023 that still has roll down windows as opposed to automatic windows. I know that some car companies would try to have that vintage car aesthetic, to have that classic car aesthetic, but automatic windows are just more convenient than roll down windows. And that's what I kind of see with this watch. They try to put roll down windows or pressed metal clasp in a watch that should have a scissor clasp. I don't think they're really saving that much money, or if any money, by going into this route. I think it was just an aesthetic choice, and for me personally, it doesn't really work, but maybe some other people would appreciate this sort of vintage touch. On the positive side, the clasp does have 4 micro adjustments, so you can get a pretty good fit. While we're back here, let me show you this case back, because it is truly amazing. And for my Canadian viewers, this kind of looks like a loonie, doesn't it? At first, when I saw the watch, I was like, what? They put a loonie at the case back of this watch, but of course it's not. It's this very nice engraving done in a gold color. It really stands out and makes the watch feel a little bit more special, but it was just funny that it looks like a loonie. Finally, let's talk about the engine powering this machine, the movement behind it, the Saprod P024. It's essentially an ETA 2824 modified by a different company, created to their own spec. It's an automatic self-winding movement, and it has 25 joules. It beats at 28,800 beats per hour and has about 38-40 hours of power reserve. Very reliable, accurate movement, easy to service, and it's sort of what you would expect in a watch in this price category, around $1,000. Now, speaking of the price of the watch, I think it's a bit expensive. It's not outrageously priced, because that's how much these watches tend to be. This is sort of competing with watches like the Tissot Gentleman Powermatic and these type of watches, your everyday watch with plenty of water resistance, good looks, the type of watch you would wear to a business meeting, but you would also wear to the beach. It's your everyday carry watch. So it's all right, but if this watch was $800, I think it would be a banging value for money proposition. At $950 on the stainless steel bracelet, it's a bit on the expensive side. However, if you do like the watch, if you like this design, and if you're okay with that pressed metal clasp, I don't think you'll be disappointed in this watch if you do decide to buy it. Thanks for watching this review until the end. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this Nivada Grenchen watch. Are you buying one? Are you letting this one go? Leave your comments in the comment section below. I'll always enjoy reading them. There's also a link to Nivada Grenchen website. Check it out. If you make any purchases, I don't get any commissions or any kickbacks, nothing like that. But by the way, I did get this watch for free for this review. That didn't affect the review in any way. I just thought you should know. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye.